Welcome back. Welcome
What
back.
up, broski?
Been about 3-4 months so far.
It's been a long time.
To any of our repeat listeners, it's good to have you back. Hope you're listening.
All seven
No,
listeners.
29 listeners, according to BuzzFeed.
29 IPs we got in our pocket, and let's
Yeah,
see what we can do with them. It's Reg in the Zoo, baby. We're back from Rona.
You know what
we
I'm
didn't
saying?
get it. I didn't get it. Did you get it?
29 listeners and growing. No, but my brother got it.
Your brother got it?
He said he didn't have any symptoms, maybe like a little bit of cold symptoms, and he got tested. He had the antibodies, and they went to Disney, like right as this was happening, like right before, like when they came back. That's when it was hitting the news.
Did they get
and
to keep all their kids, or did Disney snatch?
No, they got both their kids back. They're good to go.
I'm glad that didn't happen. But they did get the Rona, and they believe it was possibly from there.
Yeah, that's what my brother's thinking. His wife didn't test positive for it, though. She didn't have the antibodies or anything, so she didn't have it, and they lived together, which is weird.
I'm going to be honest. I was pretty fucking scared. I wasn't, scared, but I just... Obviously, I think like anybody, there was just so much depths of, killed ego and self-awareness checking that it almost, I don't know, I don't remember any other time like it. The quarantine, COVID, the breakdown of civilization is upon us, isn't it?
Dude, it's pretty scary. It's
scary, but it's also not surprising.
It's expected. Yeah,
I've been
expected.
I hate to be this way, and to be honest, my prayers genuinely to anyone that was that had someone close to them die of the virus or disease associated, because it obviously is something that's really fucked up that it's hit our people and people around the world. But it certainly has had its shadow cast. So we're going to talk about it a lot. But we're happy to be back on the air. Glad to be here. Glad to have not been affected personally by the virus.
Yeah, I had nothing other than my brother's thing, which was nothing really. Wasn't bad at all so far.
Yeah.
But it still sucks. We're in the masks everywhere. You got to fucking go.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll continue to talk about what one of the things that we're going to talk about, at some point, probably near the end, as we talk about a lot. But
there is one thing we got to touch on, though.
Yeah, what's that?
It's over. I mean, everybody's touched on it. We're kind of behind on it, or we're a little late on it. But we got to talk Tiger King for at least 30 seconds. At least 30 seconds. Animal Planet just posted or just did a quick show it was an hour long about the animals from Joe Exotic, from his zoo and everything, and where they all went. It was pretty interesting. Definitely recommend checking that out.
It's all about where the animals end up, that
where
got rescued.
Yeah. So remember.
So Baskin didn't get them all.
No. So the ones that he was getting rid of before he was leaving.
So that the ones
remember,
that they were implying they were gonna get shot.
No. Remember he was when whatever that guy found out, what he was doing, and then he told Joe that you're being investigated and all that shit. Then Joe was getting all of his animals out there. It's about those ones and where they were going.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. And then they talk a little bit about Joe and everything, and just how much of a bullshitter he was. When that first came out, I actually liked Joe Exotic for a bit, and then I saw the 8th episode, and I'm like, okay, yeah, what an asshole.
Well, going back to the order of operations of the pandemic, couple things to think about. He was clearly racist as fuck, and that came out right before the Black Lives Matter movement and George Floyd. But he also was in a video just chirping N-bombs.
Dude,
Joe Exotic was.
Yeah, he's something else, man.
So it just goes to show you how the order of operations in media can make or break you. And he's a perfect example of like the celebrity allure that we're talking about here. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Like his arc is like still not finished. Like who knows what he could still wrap his story on.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Nicolas Cage play him in that TV series that they're gonna do.
What? I don't even know about that.
You didn't hear about that? Yeah,
No.
Nicolas Cage is gonna play Joe Exotic.
Nick Cage
Nick Cage, baby.
is going to. This is all fact. You're not making this up.
I'll Google it right now while we're talking.
I mean, I believe it. I just can't believe I didn't hear it yet, and that's freaking awesome.
Nicolas Cage, Tiger King. Nicolas Cage as the Tiger King is the perfect combination of man and actor.
Wow.
Variety announced May 4th that Cage landed what will surely become another defining role, that of the Tiger King.
That's 2020 as fuck.
Dude, that's what a crazy year. As much as it's had its downs, it's having some ups for the most, here and there.
Well, that's the thing. One of the main reasons that we started the podcast was to get practice and the production aspect of it, but we quickly found out how meaningful it felt to us just to put stuff on the record, and we both actually did some kind of side content while we couldn't do the podcast, just to kind of keep that show rolling, because we both were positively affected by doing this, and I recommend it to anybody to just it takes a little bit of work and stuff to get everything set up and get going, but once you get going, it is pretty fun. Did you want to tell them a little bit about your blog that you were getting rolling?
Yeah, sure. So I just started something. It's called Endangered Captivity. So it's just about animal awareness, not to preach, stuff that people have already done, or, do PETA stuff and post real graphic shit that, once people look at the picture, they don't even read about, what the picture's actually about. They just look at the picture and oh my God.
Well, that's,
So I'm not posting anything like that. I'm just posting information, stuff that I know, stuff that's in the news about, what it's like being an animal in captivity and in the wild. It's endangered captivity because the amount of animals that actually die in captivity because they shouldn't be in captivity. Well, a lot of them being dolphins and whales and shit. They are not meant to be in a pool. It's just not healthy for them. They lose their mind. They're said to be the second, smartest species on the planet other than us. But they, there's even talks that people think they're even smarter than us. They just live in the ocean. They don't live on land.
Is Dolphin Man?
That's a good one. I like that.
That was Googled
sure.
in our office.
Yeah.
Many years ago.
Right, dude? It's
Is Dolphin Man? There's a whole tale I could tell about that, but that's pretty much it. I have read, and I can't source where I got it, but that essentially dolphins are the equivalent timeline, genealogical development as us, but in water versus land, and they communicate at the same levels as us and feel at the same levels as us, but they don't have arms or legs because they float around underwater, and that's why they fuck people.
Yeah.
And that's always the fucked up part. And Jay Moore does a really funny story about this dolphin that fucks him.
I remember hearing about that.
Oh my God, it's graphic. Check it out. Anybody go check out Jay Moore's story on getting raped by a dolphin.
That's actually a good point, because he was swimming with a captive dolphin, and that's that's how they act out. Because they're so pissed off that they're gonna fuck you if you try swimming with them.
He described the two different dolphins, one that his mom got and one that he got, and it sounds like hookers, or I don't know. It just sounds awful. But he's
how funny is that?
He's so the first one comes out and they open up and I'm ruining it, but still check it out. But you get the same thing here, so just check it out. Check it out. Steve Brule. Yeah. Just check it out. So, anyways, he's talking about the dolphins, and he's so then the mother, my mother's dolphin comes over, and it's like a fucking Price is Right doors open up, and it's like, and here's Lucy. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, and then here's this one's yours coming up right here. And the fucking barn doors bust open, and fucking the Metallica Enter Sandman's playing, like John Rocker just walked out into the fucking World Series, and here comes Snowflake. And then he just immediately gets into the story about how it's like an aggressive assault. Oh God, it's weird.
Yeah, dude, they act out. There's a lot of stuff about them acting out and shit. It's pretty crazy.
But that's always been pretty interesting to me, that it would make complete sense to me that they are just the water version of man.
Yeah.
Like they just are walking around just talking to each other.
I mean, dude, they're self-aware, dude, for sure.
They certainly would have a different circle of life than us.
Yeah.
Like we conquered all of the beasts of land, but dolphins,
it's kind of scary, dude. I mean,
they could get eaten.
Rick O'Barry, he's the original. He was the trainer for Flipper, way back in the 60s, 70s, or whenever that was out. He was the trainer for that, and now he's an activist against all that. He talks about in the documentary The Cove that a dolphin took its last breath in his arms or whatever, and then it just floated to the bottom of the tank and didn't come back up.
That's fucked up.
It's because they're not automatic breathers. They gotta take their breath themselves. They're not automatic, so it took its last breath and then it killed itself.
Stay breathing automatically.
That's what he said. That's what kind of got me.
And it fucking killed itself.
I remember being a kid, dude. I'm like, dude, how sweet would it be to swim with like a fucking 30-foot killer whale, you know? And then you realize
to say, when I was a kid, how sweet would it be to see a fucking dolphin kill itself?
No. But then you realize like how like deprived they actually are, and like they're all of them are sick. Mm-hmm. There's one that's been in captivity for 50 years, Lolita. She's coming up on her 50th anniversary, and they're talking about, you know, let her go and all this shit. And
damn.
But
Lolita's tears.
There's an actual sanctuary in Bali, I think it is. I don't quote me on. I think it's Bali, the Bali Dolphin Sanctuary, and they got a few dolphins there that were in, you know, captivity doing the dolphin shows and shit. But now they're in Bali.
On the circuit.
Yeah, so now they're in Bali, and they're in like an ocean pen, a big one, so they get like the natural rhythms of the sea and everything. So I don't know.
The rhythms of the sea, man.
Well, America's getting rid of all that stuff, and now Russia and China are putting them in at like a rapid rate. You know, there's just tons of seaquariums where they're doing all these dolphin shows, and it's pretty fucked up.
They would.
They're kind of, you know, we're making progress on that, and then they're just like doing what we were doing 30 years ago.
Yeah.
It's billions and billions. I forgot the market. It's like $8 billion a year or some shit.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
And that's just in like the U.S.
We can't both take a drink at the same time. Podcast rule 13.
That's what we should do. We should get a list of rules.
Yeah, just write them down.
This is a green screen right now. We don't know what we're putting here.
We could probably just flip stuff out.
Maybe put Joe Exotic behind us. I've been
just
kind of doing that a lot.
whatever we're talking about, you could just pop it up right in there.
That's a good idea.
Who cares? They don't got to see our fucking mugs.
So you are going to see Joe Exotic with a loose shirt down here laying in front of a tiger.
Well, now they're going to be seeing a dolphin that killed themselves.
That's not good.
But no, seriously, we do want to talk about things that matter. We do want to talk about things that don't. We want to have some fun. We want to give...
Yeah, I don't want to be that boring dolphin guy.
Yeah, no, nobody wants to fuck the dolphin guy.
No, I don't want to be that.
Fucking, that's like a Ben Stiller movie all the way, like dolphin guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one cool thing we want to start doing is just potential casting of potential movies, like what we would do if we did have the means. That's something we're gonna do a little later on. We're gonna cast The Mask 2.
So they did the prequel for The Mask.
Yeah, but I don't want to talk about that ever.
That's a terrible,
don't
terrible
ever
movie.
fucking talk about it again,
dude.
We're gonna have. No, I'm just kidding. So we're gonna talk about Mask 2, what we would recast or what we would cast the possible, you know, and I don't know what to call it because like I always think about it being a sequel, but it would be like the real-time sequel. So I always think about movies like, okay, it's a sequel, but it's exactly amount of years from the previous movie's release time.
Yeah. Okay.
So We'll get there. We're gonna talk a little sports. We're gonna talk a little motorsports as per usual. But yeah, the one kind of overarching element of this episode that sort of spawned us getting back on the air, because you were bringing it up a few times, and I don't know if I just wasn't ready yet, or I had obviously we have so much to talk about, but you know, I don't know. The blog. Oh, I kind of started a little side blog too. The Tryin Times. It's just a little kind of
What's the site for it? What's like the address?
the Tryin Times. So the Tryin with no G Times. It's based
Is it .com, .blog?
.com.
Nice.
The TryinTimes.com. Based off. I just started writing in the beginning of Corona quarantine with the idea that if I started something, then eventually people will just feel connection, because at that point there really wasn't any TV and everything was dosed with COVID and everything was talking about the unknown.
Everything.
So like I started doing it just as like this kind of, I don't want to say like profound realization, but like I kind of just hit me that like whatever I can do to like make 1 or 2 or 3 people like have something to do for 4 or 5 minutes during this era, if it like makes them feel a little bit better, then that's cool.
Well,
and
that's
I have
why
so
I
many
started
ideas.
one.
Yeah,
I started one because I was checking your shit out, and I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just start one too? Because
well, that is like that was
talk
kind of
about
the
it.
experiment. So I'm like, that's
because you enjoy doing
exciting.
it so much. I'm like, maybe I'll enjoy doing it too, and it's pretty fun.
I've gotten like just a little bit of feedback, but even just a little feedback like makes you feel just fulfilled, but also like you're kind of doing something. So like that was, as we got back into it, my second gig, the restaurant opened back up, and I kind of honestly like stopped writing for like 2 weeks. And I didn't only stop writing, but I kind of fell back into like this like negative kind of toxicity, which I recommend anybody that's gone back to work, like get yourself ready to like change, because we never closed for our day gig doing digital marketing, but obviously my second income, the restaurant closed, so I didn't get that money. I never filed for anything. I got the stimulus, but that second money never came in, but I was able to like, endure, so to speak. But going back to the restaurant, first couple weeks, like it ended up taking enough of my energy where I was actually like getting really negative and like just pissy again, and almost was like, why? Like almost started feeling like back when I graduated college, like almost just so negative that like, oh my God, this shit's never gonna change. Like this didn't change it. So what's going to change it? And I kind of was just frustrated, and I kind of got a good night's sleep and caught up on my like, shit. And then I had this just thought of like, I started writing. I didn't even have a plan. I was in a good rhythm, a good writing rhythm prior to this, and I was getting ideas and looking forward to it. And it had tapped my energy supply enough to where I wasn't even like, I was actually getting pissed that I didn't think of shit. So I just kind of like, one of the ones I had written was like to clock into yourself. So I kind of took some of my own advice, was like, all right, I'm going to get up earlier. One thing also, Corona was like, time was not even real. It was just like, get up, don't even know what time it is, all times of the day.
So weird.
Yeah.
So weird.
But I got up, I wrote one, I just started pounding one out, like not jacking off, actually writing, because that sounded weird. But I got up, started writing a blog, and what came out was like monotony. You don't need to like fall back into monotony just because monotony is falling back into itself. Like we don't need to, and so therefore we were already doing this before Corona, being on the record, experimenting with this, getting a little bit better, talking on the mics. And so this kind of theme of this episode is just kind of returning from monotony and then, I guess, restarting a new form of monotony where we're indulging in creativity, clocking into ourselves, and kind of living our truths. That's been a big thing of personally for me, is like you got to live your truth. And again, I've talked about it on the pod, but like I didn't drink the entire Corona period, and like I was just thinking about how fucking shitty it would be if I was. So like everybody out there, good job that made it through. That's still boozing or has struggled with booze. Like that would have been tough if I was still drinking like how I drank. So I don't know.
Especially if you're getting paid unemployment, you don't got to do anything. You're
Oh
making
my
mad
God,
money,
dude, just getting fucked,
just drinking all day, every day.
But
That's
I didn't, so it wasn't too bad. Like I spent a lot of time with Rayleigh, my girl, and like our cats, and they're fucking great. So it was working from home was definitely interesting.
That's good.
I enjoyed it, but like it certainly awoke me to a lot of realizations that I quickly fell back into like getting negative about, back on my own realizations, just with like having to work and like fucking pay bills, and like you realize that like you're still part of the system. Like,
Yeah, like,
you fuck up, you're gonna go to jail. Like there's not really much has changed yet.
Yeah,
It's gonna take some time.
I was super excited to get back to work though.
Yeah.
In the studio and everything.
It's interesting to hear different perspectives as far as that goes.
I live alone, so it's different. Maybe a little different for me, but it gets so boring there, dude. And sometimes you get distracted real easy. And I just like being here. I actually like being here when I'm by myself. It's kind of nice, actually. It's like nice, quiet. I got a studio here if I want to shoot anything, by myself or
There's
whatever.
a fairy floating around my face.
Dude, it's probably that same one from earlier.
Probably came out of my beard. I had a spider come out of my beard recently. I got proof somebody saw it. I'll tell you about it later.
That is fucked up, dude. That's like horror movie shit.
That's what I said.
Arachnophobia, dude.
I'm not scared.
No, spiders aren't bad. Certain ones.
One thing I learned during the corona on the topic of fear was interesting as like sources of info and like entertainment coming through when there was none. Russell Brand, he was one that like was doing like pods and content throughout, and he had one on the difference of logical fear and neurotic fear. And you know how he talks. It's neurotic fear. So anyways, I love the guy. I think he's fucking one of the smartest people on the planet. If he was like not a druggie, like I wonder what he would have done, like science-wise and shit. Anyways, he said like there's like two types of fear: neurotic fear and logical fear. And logical fear being based on like research, facts, figures. Like if you jump off of a building, the logical fear of like gravity killing you, or if you're not like attached, like that's a logical fear. That's not like soft of you to be afraid of. And then, but neurotic fear is like just aimless, baseless. Like that is toxic. Like that is basically like that's not helping anybody. So that's been one thing that like, and then that therefore, if you can transform a neurotic fear into a logical fear by researching like hell, like they say, if you're afraid of something, read everything about it. That's what I did in the beginning. I watched 2 movies that were like terrifying. And just read everything, like all the conspiracies. I read all of them. So like that's a whole nother thing we could talk about. But that's an interesting factor with like the amount of strange coming through. Like just so much strange. Like you don't know what's not possible anymore because everything seems possible.
Yeah, how funny is that?
Like celebrities are demon suckers, like snatching babies out of fucking like the woods. Dude, have you ever seen the movie The Lobster?
No, I haven't.
Great movie. Great movie.
Wait,
have you ever read
is that
The Most Dangerous Game?
Is The Lobster, is that with Colin Farrell?
Yes.
Okay.
And they're hunting people.
I remember
basically.
I remember seeing the preview for that. I never saw it.
Dude, that happens
check that
apparently. Apparently they do that.
I believe
And
it.
if you watch that movie, it's like a really artsy, strange depiction of like this dark kind of reality, like dystopia, which I love those movies.
Yeah,
it's a good one. I can't remember who makes it, but whoever made it made like 4 good ones.
Yeah, I want to see that. They just had that one movie come out called The Hunt or something.
Yeah.
That they postponed for a little bit because of all the school shootings or something like that.
I can't figure out if everyone had an awakening or if everyone was just trapped in so much that they finally went down the YouTube truth hole.
They could have. I mean, that's what I mean. Imagine the amount of documentaries that people have been watching. I mean, not like...
Yeah, there's more too now.
Yeah, that's
for
what I mean.
sure.
It's just that Jeffrey Epstein shit. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That is like... That's a horror fucking documentary in itself. Holy shit.
Yeah, I read over the quarantine Catch and Kill by Ronan Farrow because who's the guy from the original Office? Ricky Gervais. Ricky Gervais' speech at the Golden Globes that like right before coronavirus, not too long before. It was either the Oscars or the Golden Globes, but he absolutely shredded everyone and said that they were like just pedophiles and like made all these jokes and they were so off color that I actually like dug into it and was like trying to cross-reference like what he was saying. And at one point he says, Ronan Farrow's coming for all of you. So I look up Ronan Farrow. He's the son of Mia Farrow and Woody Allen.
Mm-hmm.
So I recommend it if anybody's interested in like the truth of like how corrupt and sinister this shit can get. That is like, I think it should, I don't know what constitutes a fucking Pulitzer Prize, but like it's a little lengthy because it's very detailed and it's personal, like it's written from the guy's like a personal, it's his personal account, so it's littered with journalistic like facts, but it's still his like first person experience, so it's a little bit, it's cool because he's a journalist, but it goes through the entire takedown of Harvey Weinstein and how many like hoops that this Ronan Farrow had to jump through to get the story out, just to get it out. And then there's touches of like Trump stuff with the National Enquirer, stuff with like this organization called Black Cube that was like former Israeli intelligence that was like operating with spies that were like following Ronan Farrow, following Rose McGowan, like deep fake, not deep fake, but deep, I can't remember what they call it, but like long con. Like at one point, this
holy shit.
Yeah, this Rose McGowan gets played by this girl for like 2 years. She thought this girl befriended her, and it turns out she's in on this fucking organization, this spy organization. Yeah, so I read that, and that was wild. I recommend anybody look into that story. There's the official like New Yorker magazine, like New Yorker, like periodical. That's where Farrow eventually published it, so you can read the full story or the book about it. But yeah, that shit was fucked up.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna check that out.
That was sort of that like, I think there's a weird thing where people are afraid to like look into this stuff so much, but if you read about it, it's no different than what you've always been reading about in fiction, but how fiction was this shit the whole time. Like think about the 90s, 80s, 70s, like shit was really going down. There was no reality TV. Shit was just going down. Shit was just wild. Like, cameras and, like, media have really, like, intercepted, but I almost feel as though humans have taken back control, where if we have everyone has a camera in their hand, now it's like people have kind of taken back control. And I, like, think people should. I think we should control basically the truth. I think that the public should know the truth.
Yeah, everyone's getting sick of getting fucking lied to.
Yeah, like it's a really sick existence to wake up not feeling like you know the truth.
Exactly, and I kind of feel like that every day.
What society could ever function like that?
Exactly.
So that's what we're here to do.
Spread the truth, baby.
Just live the truth, spread the truth, and find the truth.
Yeah, I like that.
Love it.
Love it.
So what do you got going on?
Nothing. I'm just looking up some Formula One standings over here. I figured for when we go into our little sports block here.
Yeah, we can transfer it over. We can kick it over to Sports Corner. Motorsports Corner.
Bash Motorsports Corner.
So what do you got? I know that obviously Black Lives Matter was a huge step in the right direction, I feel. There's been a lot of really trashy, bad, like, shit that's gone down that we don't want to get too controversial, but if I'm being honest, I think anybody that knows me knows where I stand on a lot of that stuff. But The bottom line is people deserve to be treated the same, I feel. And I'm not a person of color, but I do feel that our American society is set up for us to fail and or be living debt. So I hear what a lot of people are saying. I think there's a lot of people that should say a lot right now. But to not at least touch on that today, having not talked in months on the air, it's something that was daunting to me, but I felt the need to step up for people that have been impactful on my life, that have been African American, Indian, Arabian, Asian, and that's just kind of like to get that off my chest. It feels good to know that the truth has been brought to light, but I think that there's a lot of work that still needs to be done, much like Bubba Watson. We've seen all the like controversy that's come around him, unfortunately, and the good and the bad. But I was actually like, I had no idea about the guy from Formula One, and that I know you are a huge fan, and like that was an interesting. I think that's an interesting segue that I had no idea that
Hamilton?
dude was. Yeah, I didn't know homie was black. Like Formula One's run by a black dude.
Yeah, he's been the best for a while. He's actually leading the standings right now.
I would love to know
two back-to-back wins.
like hillbilly fuckboy down south with like his trailer teeth and his fucking like no fear tattoo has to say about that. Like go over there and race in Europe.
Yeah, so
and lose to a black guy at racing.
He's been racing his whole life. So over there they start off karting, go-karting. And they do a lot of the same tracks. Then, if you're good enough, you get into one of the schools. And then, you do Formula 3, Formula 2,
so where
Formula
is he
1.
From originally?
He's from Great Britain or London, England, whatever. He's
you sound like you're from London.
You sound like you're from London.
That's interesting, though. Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome.
How is he? Like our age?
Yeah, I think he's born 86 or 85.
Okay, so he's been around it for a while.
He's right around our age. But yeah, he's the best dude. He's world champion last year. He's 6-time world champion.
That's like, how does nobody know about that? I guess like Formula One just not
in
that
the U.S.
popular.
It's just not that big over here. Everywhere else,
you sounded like you a Swedish like snowboarder or something. In U.S. it's not that serious, but like over there it's the shit.
Over there, yeah. I mean, Australia, it's big. England, like Europe, it's huge over there.
Sweden,
yeah. I think it's pretty big in Sweden.
Sweden, Scotland.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Where's that next race? How many races have they done?
So they did 3 so far. 2 in the 2 in Austria. It was what the fuck were they called?
I mean,
the Red Bull Ring.
Okay, yeah.
The Red Bull Ring, Austria. That was good.
That's a newer track.
Not newer. It's just where they do the Grand Prix. I don't really know how old it is.
Just so everyone knows, I got my legs out. Just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that I had my legs out, because I was a little concerned about them showing my knees, but I don't care. Because I'm a savage.
So we had the Austrian Grand Prix.
I like talking about cars and ripping bulls with you, bro.
The Steiermark Grand Prix.
Steiermark!
Which was at the Red Bull Ring as well. Those two were at the same place.
And this is not official Red Bull. This is artificial Red Thunder.
Red Thunder. A.K.A. Thunder Muscle.
If Red Thunder would like to sponsor this podcast, we're more than willing to promote it.
Take us to the next level.
Just
full
like
completion.
Red Thunder takes us to the next level.
Yes. And then they had the Hungarian Grand Prix. So Lewis Hamilton actually won the past 2. So now he's the leader, but him and Valtteri Bottas are teammates for Mercedes. Petronas. And so they're just like the 2 best, but they got the fastest car right now too. I mean, their car's just been unstoppable for years.
I just think about Ricky Bobby's competition, the guy that played Borat when he comes in.
Oh, God.
His character is so good.
I like when they see him at the bar, he breaks his arm and stuff, and he's just...
Did you see...
right into his arm.
This is kind of relevant. Did you see that... what's that guy's name, Borat? Sacha Baron Cohen. Did you see that he did another one of those like covert, undercover he goes to like a white nationalist thing and he's like singing about like the virus being like,
That I didn't see.
oh
Is
my
it,
God,
I
it's
know.
good.
Was it his show from Showtime? Or
Yeah,
is
it's
this
a new. They were shooting that, but it wasn't that long ago.
That's
it
cool.
hasn't even. I don't know if it's been even released yet, but I saw the story of them shooting it, and he's like singing about like Obama and like the China virus and like it's like I think he calls it the Wuhan flu and shit.
Did you that show that he did, at least the first season, that he like a couple people got exposed
Oh yeah,
and the one dude ended up having to resign from office or some shit?
that's
Like,
outstanding journalism. Like I feel like
how
that's
awesome is that?
that's just legendary. Once again, purposeful work. Purpose is the power. Like
Yeah, I like him. He's awesome.
that. Purpose is the power. I thought of that recently as a little Reg Jarism.
He plays a Formula One driver.
Yeah.
Formula One.
Yeah, that's what made me think of him was like
Yeah.
when he's got the Perrier
Yeah.
like suit on.
But yeah, I mean, Formula One is the pinnacle, so they're faster than, any other race car out there. The fastest around any track is going to be a Formula One car. That's just what they're designed to do. The aerodynamics is just crazy. That's why they can go at a turn at 200 miles an hour and not slide off.
Is Formula One the same thing as in Indy 500?
No.
Those are F1. What are those?
So
What's the difference?
Indy cars are just, I would consider Indy cars to be like the American version of Formula One. They're super.
Formula One
they're super
are the ones
similar.
like Speed Racer. That's what we were saying.
Indy does a lot of oval tracks too, like NASCAR.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, they're fast too. There's a race between them, like an Indy car and a Formula One. The Formula One's just they're just faster. That's why it's called Formula One, because it's supposed to be one formula for the perfect car.
Really?
Yeah, that's kind of how.
And they all are the same car?
No. In
Okay.
Formula 3 and I think Formula 2, they're the same cars. They're all designed the same way, so it's even competition. And then when they get to Formula 1, it's whoever can make the best car.
You can do whatever body you want.
They all usually have
aerodynamically.
Yeah, they
So it's like
there's rules
it's the
for that.
Pinewood Derby for men.
There's rules for that though. I mean, you can't have like extra stuff that's not regulated. Like
Yeah.
they're all designed.
And it's obviously weight.
Yeah, I mean, you got weight, width, tire width,
Red Thunder.
width of the car.
Take it up
height of
another
the car,
level with Red Thunder.
the type of engine you can use, like how many liters
Just
it
earned
is. and
us
stuff.
$75 right there.
That should be, dude.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we're trying to get some sponsors. We'll get some soon enough.
It just that's all I can think of when I think of racing is sponsors and like how much goes into it.
Yeah,
It's definitely exciting because sports are something that obviously like people care about, but the like organic good feelings of sports have really proven themselves as like not only entertainment. Like, some shows, TV shows or musicians, things like that might be like produced. Wrestling. I watched wrestling when it first came back with no fans, but like sports and the production of sports and some of the things that they're going to be doing that like racing, I think they've been pretty successful with NASCAR. Obviously Formula One is going, but like that's something that you don't necessarily need the fans there. The fans all go there. The money is made by the organizations, but like the experience of sport or competition, you want to be there to feel it, but the networks have controlled that for so many years that it's kind of cool that now, unfortunately, I mean, it's not like we're like taking back ownership, but with streaming and things like that, like you can kind of pay for what you want to see.
Yeah.
That's cool. Like being able to like, I don't know what options you have, but like I've already watched some NBA bubble like scrimmage and seen like some experimentation with the production because I pay for League Pass on Sling. It's not that expensive. So I don't know, have you had anything like that for racing?
Yeah, so I use the ESPN Plus app.
Yeah, that's yeah.
And so in there I can just, get the live stuff, all recorded stuff and everything. So usually Formula One schedule's so different because they race all over the world. So like when they're in Europe, I'll have to watch it instead of it being on at like night, like a Monday Night Football game. It's on at like 9 a.m.
Right. It's global.
Yeah. So I try to do that. I've been trying to do that, which is kind of cool. And it's the races aren't as long as a NASCAR race.
Oh, really?
So I mean, they'll do like 60, 70, 80 laps maybe.
That's kind of cool.
I don't
It's
really,
not that long.
I don't know too much about NASCAR. I used to watch it and stuff. I remember watching it when Dale Earnhardt went out and everything.
That was
but,
crazy.
Yeah, I think we talked about that before.
Yeah,
but
got my concussion that day.
Yeah, they just
snowboarding.
They go a lot faster. Yeah, that's right. They go a lot faster, a lot quicker. And it's just the overtakes, and I just like the personalities. There's only 20 Formula One drivers. There's only 20 of them, and they're the 20 best in the world. And it's not like you got 800 drivers. You just have those 20. In NASCAR, I think they have a bunch. They got way more than 20. But
yeah.
It's exciting. I know a lot of people don't like it. I totally understand that. It's not the funnest thing to watch cars go around, around a track. But when you know the history, the drivers, and the drama kind of behind the scenes, and why it's a big deal if this car is going to overtake this car because they're kind of rivals and stuff. And that's when they might collide and everything. But it's exciting. But
that's like fanhood. I think. Even though that might be that for you, like obviously anybody has some athlete or team or sport that they feel the way that you feel about it, like.
Yeah, I wasn't always into it. I got into it a few years ago, and it's like, I wish I was into it a lot longer. But this Sunday they got the British Grand Prix, which is the Silverstone circuit.
Silverstone circuit.
It's spelled Silverstone, but
Silverstone circuit.
The British say Silverstone, so I like to say it like that.
Oh, another one that was probably real that we never saw coming. Hostel. That's real as fuck now, I think, obviously.
Yeah.
That shit was like somebody saw some
these
shit.
These ideas are like, inspired by something.
Yeah. That was so realistic.
As bad as it is to say. Yeah. But we got a decent amount of drivers. It's Lewis Hamilton's home circuit, Lando Norris,
Norris
and George Russell. So we want those three guys to bring something home. Those are some of my favorites too. I love George Russell. He's on Williams. Williams is the worst team right now. They got the smallest budget, the slowest car, and he's one of the best drivers, and he's stuck on them. So he doesn't get any championship points. He's got a contract for one more year. Hopefully he'll be getting to a better team. But Lando Norris is kind of coming out of the woodwork this year. He's like everybody's favorite racer because Lewis Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen, all of them are always the top three.
Rasputin?
No, Verstappen. Max Verstappen.
Rasputin.
But then you got Sebastian Vettel. He's one of the biggest ones in there too. He's leaving Ferrari this year. But Lando Norris, he's one of the youngest. He had his first podium this year, which is kind of cool. But it's, a lot of people are excited for him because they want to see, Lewis Hamilton get out of the top three because he's been in there for so long.
He's dominating.
He's always, if you got the biggest budget, team-wise, then you're going to, have the best car. And that's what they have. But it's the top three teams, Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes. But Ferrari's kind of dropping now. And now you got Race Force coming in. I believe it's Race
Force.
No, Racing Point. Sorry, Racing Point.
Racing Point.
They drive the pink Formula One cars, but they're kind of stepping up. They might be replacing Ferrari as being the top three. So it would be Red Bull, Racing Point, and Mercedes. Yeah, man, it's pretty cool. I definitely get into it, but yeah, dude. How about the Blue Jays playing in Buffalo this year?
Yeah, that's
how awesome is that?
That's pretty relevant. I don't know,
sucks that we can't go to any games.
Yeah, obviously.
I don't think there's ever been a major league game played here.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not a huge baseball guy. I went to a Little League baseball game recently, and it was actually pretty fun. My little cousin was playing, and it was I think he was 10 and under or something like that, and he's my second cousin's kid. And
is that pitching machine or
there was actual pitching going on.
Okay.
But yeah, it was wild. They were down 4-2, and they came back in the fifth inning. It was fucking tight, man.
That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, it was
the championship.
Playing Little League baseball,
down the Southern Tier, and playing up here in the city.
Playing Little League baseball was always some of the funnest things to do when I was a kid. It was a lot of fun. I was always on the tournament team and all-star team or whatever you call it. It was always called something else each year.
Yeah.
or travel team and shit. You know, that was always really cool.
I feel like the relationships you make back then were like legitimate in youth sports. That was like, I played Little League football, but I never really, and then I played some soccer and stuff too. But yeah, you definitely learn. I think you learn so much in those like arenas because
Did you play air lanes?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you did. My brothers played. My parents never signed me up for it. I was kind of bummed.
My brother found an old photo of the first year I played quarterback for an Air Lanes team, and it was actually really relevant because he found it right before the George Floyd thing, and we were a obviously suburban team, but there was two divisions, Tyro and Awatka, and Awatka played basically all the suburban teams, and Tyro played all like the city teams.
Yeah.
And my dad and my brother would always want me to play in Tyro because the competition was better, and Leon was this black dude that wasn't really like in the like political circuit of air lanes, and he was the Tyro coach for like the 120s, and then this guy Chuck, who had been there for years, was like a legend in the program. He was coaching the other team, so all the kids basically jumped onto that team for the most part, other than some of the good kids that just wanted to stay in Tyro. And Leon, once again, like right in the pit of like the riots and everything with like Black Lives Matter after the George Floyd thing, and like everything was in the heat of it. Like I said, I was really kind of like going in on social media for like the reality that like if anybody needs to know, like I'm definitely with these people because like I wouldn't be who I was today without black people generally. Like I've known several, like this guy being one of them, Coach Leon, and he didn't need to do what he did for me. Like that's just a prime example of like he didn't need to come coach a kid and like help me with the game and like tape my cleats and like teach me how to be a leader on the field and teach me how to like not be afraid. Like, so fuck anybody who has a problem with black people because that's my homie. Like I haven't talked to him since I was 10 years old, but like if he was here, I'd be like just enamored to like tell him how much he influenced me as a person and like a leader and like an athlete. So it's like there was certainly a lot of reflection, and it's like it's almost been like a wake-up call for me, but I hope that other people were able to like gain some like personal growth during the last 3 months, because if you didn't, like that's just really sad.
I know, right? Like how crazy was that? One guy does some crazy shit like that, and it doesn't just affect our country, even though it happened here. It affects the whole world. Like the entire world. Yeah. How crazy is that?
Some of those images of like
Lewis Hamilton, even
yeah,
he was taking a knee like he was doing the Kaepernick, man.
Right.
And some of the drivers didn't take a knee, some of them did.
Yeah.
But it's pretty crazy.
And it was like one of the huge parts of during all that was when Minneapolis was going down. Some shit even in Buffalo was going down. It was a little bit scary, but like. You just didn't know what was going on, like Purge style, like who knows what happens next. And like that obviously was pretty like shaky for a minute, but when the president pushes everybody out of the way so he could go stand in front of the church and then after turning the lights out, like that was just such a like bullshit, like weak position to take that it was just like, anybody that thinks this guy is a leader is a fool. But during that moment, all I could think of was if this guy were to take a knee right now, Donald Trump, at that juncture, when he went out, I was like crossing my fingers because I was like, if this guy goes out and takes a knee, this will like shift the world, and he could go down in history as like the U.S. president that ended white nationalism. And it's obviously like I was like too good to be true. He didn't do it. He obviously fucking did his little demon fingers and held his Bible and like
he'd be the last person to do that.
So it's fucking sucks that he didn't do that. But that was just like it was just a tinge of like, wow, if this guy did that, like, how many more people could like see the other side right now? But they probably wouldn't. They would probably still just look at him and call him like fake or a traitor, because you like watch these things. Like Dan Crenshaw is another guy that I read probably 4/5 of his book over Corona, and it was really cool to read. And he's a Republican. I wasn't ever raised a Republican. I'm kind of like devout independent. Like I want to stay down the middle, and I know people say that, but I definitely do want to stay down the middle. I think there should be a third party of sorts, but seeing the other side is vital. Like finding at least someone on the other side that you can listen to, obviously, I think opens your perspectives.
Yeah.
And like everybody should be a journalist, I think, right now. Like everybody should be digging. Everybody should be reading into the other side, into their side, finding weaknesses in all sides. Because like that's the only way that things are gonna get better, is if like everyone's accountable. Like everyone is like in this battle of just like lacking accountability. And it's unfortunate. You see people like Kanye West trying to step up and be like, I'll fucking do it. And that was like, that's a whole discussion that people like. I love the guy. He's controversial. People will think what they want, but that's a prime example of like somebody's got to step up to the fucking plate here.
Yeah, nobody wants to.
Meanwhile, all the celebrities.
It's not like we can. Nobody would vote for us. Nobody knows who we are. Like,
right. But I think that's kind of the world that we're entering, is everybody's going to have their channel. We're doing our channel right now. So, like, if you're doing shit that matters, I think people are going to find you. Like, think that if you're, like, doing things that are for purpose, you know, if you have that factor where you're clearly about it, then people will find you, I think. You know, that's how I found my day job, and it's been awesome for me. You know, that's why I'm here today. But there's been times in my life where I, like, don't trust that, kind of like, you know, not trusting that future or like truth, and you like take that one turn that wasn't true to yourself, and then all of a sudden you're fucking lost in the back alley, and Art the clown from Terrifier is like chasing you, and you're alone and scared. Yeah. And that shit gets dark, and I feel like a lot of people probably went through a lot of dark shit during the quarantine era, but I hope that they were able to like come out of it better, stronger, faster, like more wise. Like that's kind of how I feel coming out of it. How do you feel coming out of it? Like, how did it affect you during, before, after? You know, like, how do you think shit's gonna look future wise, just personally?
You know, with doing some of the blogs for work and stuff, I have to base a lot of that around COVID, kind of. Not all of it, obviously, but some of it. And the thing that's really sticking out in my mind is just how long we're going to have to wear masks for. And all this sanitation and stuff. And, dude, I totally get it. It's so, I understand why we have to, but it's crazy because I never thought, you know, we'd ever have to do that.
Yeah.
Like, ever. That's insane that this happened. And this is, like, happening. Like, when it first started, I thought it was going to last for, like, a month. Mm. You know, a few weeks, and then we're good to go. Like, what was it, swine flu or something back in the day?
Swine flu. I remember SARS.
Yeah, SARS and shit. Like, I thought it was just going to be like that. And then fucking how many people have gotten it, and it's like, holy shit, like, this isn't going away anytime soon.
Yeah. Actually, on that, in the beginning, and I want to get to, at some point, I do want to talk a bit about the production of the NBA bubble. But to kind of follow up on that, in the beginning of Corona, when it was in that like infantile stage where nobody knew what the hell was going on, I watched 2 movies, one of which was an American movie that a lot of people have seen. It's got Jude Law. It's the one with like the pandemic happens. It was like everybody watched it in the beginning. Contagion, you've never seen it? So that movie is basically almost very similar to what happened.
Okay.
Like the nightmare scenario of like a virus going.
I always think of the movie Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman.
You brought that one up right before we split from work. You had said that was going viral or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
it was definitely up. Mm-hmm.
So at the same time, Contagion is a really good movie, but it's very similar to what happened. Well, there's another movie which I was kind of telling you about at work, but it was called Flu, and that shit was scary because that shit. It was an airborne disease, but it was more of a flu that would affect the body and like start you to like violently start throwing up blood within like 80 seconds. So the whole thing was in Korean. It was like set in like China, I think, but the production value was fucking amazing. There was like some really like graphic shit and like really thought-provoking shit that like it spun me up, dude. I stayed up all night, like the night I watched it, because it was like so realistic. But again, that was kind of like my attempt of being like, all right, well, if this was like the worst case scenario, better to be like mentally prepared than like not.
Yeah, I totally
And I've
agree.
always been like not a full on like doomsday prepper, but I did watch a lot of it. I've watched a lot of Bear Grylls. I'm like a secret scout. Like I definitely like want to survive.
Yeah,
I don't want to die.
I spent a lot of time just watching like nonstop YouTube videos, binged watched a few shows. I watched Lost for the first time. I thought that was actually a really good
Did
show.
you watch it all through?
I watched it all the way through.
That's crazy. I heard that was pretty good.
It's actually, yeah, it kind of lost itself for a little bit, but then it kind of got itself back. But that was a really good show. I was surprised. I just saw it. I'm like, fuck it, I'll watch it. Why not? Give it
Yeah.
a shot. And I actually really liked it. It was one of my favorite shows now. Man, what else, dude?
I watched a little bit of actually the first season of Mr. Robot. That was pretty interesting.
I gotta watch that. My buddy I used to work with at this one place was
Same.
always telling me about that, and he's like, "Dude, you gotta watch it." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"All right."
It was worth
It's when
it.
people tell me to watch shit that I don't watch.
I did that with Letterkenny for three guys, three buddies. It took me to the third guy to be like, all right, I'll watch it.
Yeah, same here. This one girl was telling me to watch it. This one dude at the ski resort that I was working at was telling me, he's like, "Dude, you gotta watch it." And I'm like, "All right," so I did.
Yeah.
And I haven't caught up in like the last 2 seasons, but I watched every other one before that. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
A lot of people say it's like the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia Canadian version, kind of.
I watched.
And I get that, but at the same time, I don't, because it's not like Canada's not just all that. Like
You know what? That's an interesting comparison. I never really looked at it that way, but it is a little bit. It is a little bit like Always Sunny versus Trailer Park Boys. Like Mosh.
Yeah, I'd agree. I can agree with that.
That's crazy. I never really looked at it like that because it's like the 3 guys, 1 girl thing.
Yeah.
Found a stud for Stormy.
I just fucking love Shores.
Gaylor. Found a stud for Stormy. But NBA bubble, it's wild. They're all staying like there's like 22 teams, I think. They're all staying like having to get tested multiple times. There's only a certain amount of journalists allowed like on the island.
That's what
in the
Formula's
bubble.
doing. They got to get tested every week.
So like they're not allowed to leave. One guy, Lou Williams, he already like supposedly got chicken wings, but also went to a strip club. So like he already kind of broke the rules. There's been like scrimmages already, and the ball like
They're allowed to have strip clubs are open.
Well, yeah, confusing. I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't been to one in a while.
They must sell like toilet paper, hand sanitizer inside to stay open.
Yeah, good question. Good question. Like, what was Lou? How did Lou Williams? They're selling chicken wings, obviously. Chicken wings and hand jobs, probably.
Yeah, so they're like a restaurant food type
And
thing.
if it was in Orlando, I'm sure they sold kids too. Like,
I know, right?
if we're being honest. So like, they have to stay like in the bubble. The games, they're all like they're playing games like all day long. But they have like these big, huge screens like behind the benches. For the home team, they're like recreating like crowd noise, extra like, kind of like how an arena. It's really well done. It's like me pitching it to you sounds awful, and it was like a big question mark.
But it works the way they do it.
So far, it's been interesting because what they're doing is like the like whoever the home team is, like that's like what goes up on the graphics, and like when they hit a 3, like it's just like if you were in their arena. So like the PA crew is like the Bucks crew, if they're the home team, and then if like the Lakers are the home team, like then they play like sounds. Like if they miss the other team misses a shot, Lakers are the home team. Like it'd be like the horn or whatever, like the clown horn.
Yeah, that's
they
cool.
missed. So they're trying to recreate that home court advantage. They're also like doing a thing where, and I don't know if they're gonna stay doing it but they're taking like people's Zoom chats similar to the NFL draft, where it'd be like you and me at home could like log in somehow, and it's like our faces, and they're putting those faces up probably on like a delay though, because if people like put their wieners on there or something, like that'd be really funny. Right. But they're putting like on these big boards, they're putting like people's like little Zoom faces, so you can't really make it out, but like there's still like motion, so it does like fall into the background cool. A little bit, and like they do like some artificial sneaker squeaking, which is actually a production thing that they do during like March Madness. So that's like to the viewer at home, it's not that different. The angles of the cameras, they've like really positioned them. The benches are like 3 rows and on a little incline, so they're all on their like own little chairs.
Oh, that's cool.
And the camera angles, like they've got them like set up so they can get player shots on the bench. Like Anthony Davis already like put his hand like in front of LeBron once. But that was pretty interesting to see, because I was really nervous, like how is this going to work with but that was what they were talking about, was they have to put it in that space to keep everyone there. They're going to have to be there till like October. But the production value so far has been legit, and they have this one robotic camera too that they use during the Final Four. That's like a low shot, because in the Final Four they're like in these arenas, like football arenas.
I just saw a video of that where some guy,
Luka Doncic,
almost comes and hits him in the head, and he's like,
yes, and that shot that it gets is fucking tight though. Like, yeah, it's like they use that usually only for like high profile games.
That's cool.
But yeah, dude, Luka Doncic he was like on the side, and that fucking robot came through and almost took his head off.
How cool is that?
Yeah, also scary.
Yeah, when you can see his
Johnny
face.
Five
he's like,
alive.
He almost like looks around like, what the fuck?
Yeah, literally. Because, so the players are still getting used to it.
Yeah.
But they're set to start this weekend, too, like with real games like tomorrow, whenever this comes out. It'd be like a couple days after.
That's legit.
But, yeah, that's pretty cool. So we'll kind of stay tuned on that. Batheinmymilk.com.
What the fuck?
Yeah, go to it real quick. So batheinmymilk.com. I just came across it. I know we're looking for a sponsor, so I just want anybody out there to go to batheinmymilk.com. That's BATHEINMYMILK.com. So.
What the fuck?
So this is.
Who is this lady, like a ghost or something?
Dude, I don't know, but it's terrifying. And there's a poster, there's a poster with the link on it, and it's like for making an appointment. It says, offer open to men only, soy, almond, or traditional. Use my sponge. I will watch you. Schedule an appointment at batheinmymilk.com.
Look at the last dude.
So if you go, you'll see images of a couple of guys that decided to go bathe in this woman's milk in this absolutely terrifying bathroom with this scary lady with white hair, and she's got a nightgown on, and they're just sitting naked in milk. And there's no way any of these guys are alive. They're definitely dead. So go to Bathe in Your Milk, batheinmymilk.com.
Dude, there's nothing fucking on here.
That's it. So yeah, check it out. The podcast is brought to you by that right now. We're seeking another sponsor, but for now, that's batheinmymilk.com.
Yeah, like look at this rope right here. The fuck is that? And then look, she's got like bleach and shit right here, or like what are they, like that fucking chloride bleach for the acid or some shit?
Yeah, something's happening here. Something's happening here, and I don't think there's not to here.
Look at, dude, the
that's
rope.
batheinmymilk.com.
The rope is literally the same in every single picture. The rope is never touched.
Yeah, so that's pretty fucking scary. So getting back to it, we wanted to talk quickly about the Bills.
What the
obviously, there's some few things around Western New York. Josh Allen First, he was awarded somewhat with a 99 throw power in Madden, which
Number
was pretty
one in
cool.
Madden, baby. When was the last time any player from the Bills was number one in Madden?
But he's
Any
not like
category.
his throw accuracy isn't that great.
Yeah, what I think
so
Russell
he's-
Wilson has the best accuracy.
Yeah, so it's a small victory, but it did bring about the Mahomes Allen throw off concept, which I don't know. Like I'd love to see it. That's pretty interesting. I would love to see it.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like Mahomes ends up winning just because he's like better in the moment.
I'd have to go with Allen just because Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean I'd root
Even
for
if
Allen.
even if Mahomes would win, I'd still want Allen. Can you believe that contract that fucker got? Oh my god.
So yeah, Pat Mahomes, he got an obnoxiously large contract. He also bought into the Kansas City Royals, so he's a part owner of the Kansas City
How
Royals
crazy is
baseball
that?
team. So that's pretty fucking groundbreaking. But then also, the players had a vote for the top 100 players, and I don't know when they started doing this, but
For this upcoming season, right?
yeah, like they started doing it within the last few years, and it's a players' vote, and they're releasing it like bits at a time. They just said I think Trey White was in the top like 45-ish, top 48-ish.
Wasn't Allen like 84? Or
So
something?
Allen, I think, was 87 out of
87,
the
okay.
top 100, but it was controversial because Colin Cowherd was one who came out really heavily saying like I could think of like 250 players better than him, and it brings up the point that I still like. It doesn't matter if anybody wanted to argue about Josh Allen. To me, it's still just like let's just enjoy the moment because you can't coach his passion and his attention to the game, and when you see the fire in his eyes, that's what I always say to look for is the fire eyes. All the best ones have it, where it's like there is no deer in the headlights fear. It's like I'm driving this fucking bus and who's coming with me, and that's the leadership that he brings to the table.
Yeah.
And players on his team or opposing teams, that shit is like you can feel that palpable energy that a guy gives off, whether he's like dominating the game from a numbers standpoint. If a guy's dominating the game from the feel of the game, where people are afraid to tackle him because he's 6'6", or he's gonna make a play, he might cough up the ball here or there, but if he's gonna make a big play that's gonna turn the entire arena or whoever's watching around, that's just like not coachable or like not teachable, not coachable. You can't create that in a person's heart. So to me, I'm not surprised to see a player's vote him in because I'm a former football player, only like Division III, but it's still like the same language. It's the same passion out on the field when the lights go on, so to speak. And like what he did in the Thanksgiving game, in the big bright lights of the New England game, and even in the Texans game, where he was able to not only win the game 2 times, but lose the game 3 times, unfortunately. But he's a young guy. And, like, did he have a few deer in the headlights moments? Yes, but he wasn't afraid. You know, he had a few mistakes.
He's one of those guys that will learn from that, though.
And the bottom line is we come back and we're in a place to kick to win the game, and we get it called back for a bad chop block penalty or cut block, blindside block penalty, which costs us the game. Anybody could say whatever they want. I still feel that we're kicking to win that game.
Well, they're talking that we're going to be like the top team in our division, right, this year?
Yeah, so obviously Brady leaving, we have Cam Newton in our division now, so that's going to be interesting to look at.
What do you think's going to happen there? Any predictions with him? I mean,
So-
he's definitely a good QB.
He's somebody who's like an incredible player. He's an underrated manager of a football game. He's a stand-up like passer that can get the ball around if he's got time.
I like that clip of him. It's if you watch like clips of the whatever season it was, it's him saying they're like it's that play, and he's like, oh, you watch film? He's like, watch
I
this.
got something for
Yeah, I got something
That's-
for you. Watch
that's
this,
like-
and then
yeah.
then they score. Like, come on, that's awesome.
Again,
That's
that's
awesome.
kind of like that. You can't really like make that. You can't
Yeah.
make someone like that. I just really cool show. Ironically, I just started it, the 5th season of Last Chance U. It's on Netflix.
That's a great show.
Yeah, such an amazing show.
I love how they have subtitles.
Yeah.
For like, they're
Yeah.
speaking English, but you can't understand
People that are
it.
like from like
Deep
either down
south.
south or like city where it's like
Yeah.
jargon. And that's what's so cool about that show is that that's exactly it. Like that you see that even at that level, that's like the language or the passion of football, that it's like life changing. And if you're a part of it, you know it. If you've ever been a part of it, you know it. And like
There's that one dude that made it to the NFL and then he like
there's
sucked
a few.
or something, and then they booted him from the team.
Yeah, Ali, he like missed a meeting. He got cut on Hard Knocks.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of.
He was always in shit, but he was an outstanding like defensive tackle. But and then Star Latulele, defensive tackle for the Bills, he opted out. So that's kind of interesting. You really hope to see a football season. But who I really think about are like the kids, like Western New York. I know I have a lot of close friends who are coaches around here, and like that's obviously an issue. You think about kids that are like going away to their first semester of college or their last semester of college as seniors, and like losing that season, what that could mean to them. So that's a whole nother thing that's unfortunate. So again, we want to do whatever we can to create some content here that helps people like in some way.
Yeah.
But whatever we can do to continue updating on sports and local sports, as we know, we're obviously going to talk about some of that stuff on here too. So the last thing, I think that's all I had for Josh Allen and the Bills for now. We'll have to stay tuned. I think training camp would be starting very soon typically, but last time I checked, there's only like the Bills are one of like a third of the NFL teams that have an approved like return to work, whatever, like any business. So I'm just gonna keep my fingers crossed because I don't know what I would do without football. And a lot of people,
football's too big in this country to not.
Yeah, I'm at least happy to have the NBA bubble for as long as we have it. Baseball has been already had like one outbreak. They're going with more of a model where they're still going to travel. This is what's concerning about football is they're still traveling to these empty arenas, stadiums, and their production has gotten kind of slammed because of like all the angles with no fans in the background and like just no energy. It's one guy even said like I could see radio coming back for baseball where you would just listen to it in the backyard and shit. That's kind of cool. But yeah, so like the NFL, I'm a little concerned because baseball already has an outbreak. Like the Miami Marlins already had an outbreak and they're like suspending games already, or postponing games already for that. So that's concerning as far as the travel goes. Versus the NBA, they're all in the same place. It's already booked out, but you can't really do that with teams of 53 and equipment and travel. Like it's gonna be. I'm crossing my fingers that this isn't the Buffalo Bills like Super Bowl season that got lost in the fucking Matrix, dude.
I know, right?
That would be like the ultimate fucking Buffalo punch in the gut. Like we got
nice
Stephon Diggs, we have Josh Allen, and then there would be no season.
It's just nice to have a team that you want to watch and that you know is probably going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about it at least until it happens. If they cancel the season, I'm sure we'll have some other shit to talk about. But we want to talk about that because it's been a bright spot for Buffalo. But obviously we're both production guys, so one thing that I kind of just came up with on accident, we had an experience where we were calling it the Bradley Cooper effect, where we were talking about Bradley Cooper and how they should make a movie here. Del Toro. We were also talking about Del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo.
We tried getting him on, but he's a busy
Yeah,
dude.
we never actually reached out, but they were in Buffalo right after we were kind of like talking about it. So, yeah, we would love to have eventually like an actual celebrity on here and whatever we can do with.
We're always saying that's our goal.
Yeah, and if it means in the future doing like a Zoom interview or a remote interview, we're looking forward to that kind of opportunity to bring people on. But one thing I wanted to do is recast a movie that was influential on me. One of the first movies I ever remember, The Mask, with Jim Carrey, Cameron Diaz. Super influential on me. I think Jim Carrey's like a weird, like, just time traveling like jester that's like has these profound thoughts that nobody really understands. And he's had his fair share of like strange in his life, but he's somebody who I always look up to. But The Mask being something I tweeted at Jim Carrey, and I was like, just like, again, kind of manifest destiny type thing. I'm like, hey Jim, because I had responded to a kid I know on Facebook who was joking, made a thing about The Mask on his like podcast, this guy Brian, and it was just like a repetitive video of him and his buddy doing like the Mask voice, saying, "Somebody stop me."
Yes.
But they just kept saying it over and over, and it kind of like made me bring it back, and we were joking back and forth on Facebook, and then I was like, out of nowhere, I just had this idea for a recast of a concept, and I go, so here's my pitch. So each one will do a movie pitch of an idea.
Okay.
Of like, if we were in front of a director or somebody, this is what we would pitch as the premise for why we could write a script.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, at Jim Carrey, I'm 30. I've always wanted to make a movie. I've never written a full script. Help me make it a reality. This is my putting it out into the universe. So this is my first attempt at like, if I was pitching and I had like 30 seconds with a guy, it's like, this is one idea. So the concept is The Mask 2036. And it's basically based in the same universe as the original Mask sequel. We're not talking about the prequel that you've mentioned. We're never going to talk about that other version of The Mask. So we're going to completely forget
version.
that ever happened. But we're bringing back The Mask. It's cast in the future. So here we go. It's 2036.
2036.
Opening shot is a bar full of people in mask form. So everyone has like the green head. But they're all wild as fuck. Shit's just going crazy ape shit. Everybody's just like living their wildest desires, somewhat similar to The Purge. So like everything that happened in The Purge, but instead of like people wearing masks, they have like their Purge green wild man like reversal, because that's really what The Mask represented, was like your wildest desires, but it didn't have like the care or compassion to really hold a normal life. So that's the future, and you open up and like basically everyone, The Mask has been commercialized and propagandized as like the product similar to an iPhone, where everyone, it's been somehow, you know, in the future, it's like its characteristics have been created and commercialized. So everyone wears them, and only people that are poor, plebes, or peasants don't wear them. So that's like the future of The Mask, where Stanley Ipkiss became this like dead Bill Gates guy that like got killed by the government. They stole his mask. Cameron Diaz is this wild like, she's in it. She's like the wily old. Oh well, it's a dystopia.
Yeah.
So if Rowdy Piper was alive, he was my first vote for the mayor of Mask Town. But so Ric Flair is like the masked mayor, like somewhat evil. We're talking. So now the ruling class is the masked people in this universe. Whitney Cummings, the masked reporter, she's real snooty and she's always got an answer for everything, and she's like the corrupt like vixen. Tom Hardy is the main like genius like power suit villain mask guy.
Okay.
Margot Robbie as a maskless peasant blonde, replacing Cameron Diaz, who's caught up. She's trying to earn her like kind of slut mask in the wrong like she's in the wrong crowd, and she's like selling her body and stuff. Shia LaBeouf as masked good guy, so everyday regular guy he's got his mask, but he's just kind of got like the mask privilege, similar to like white privilege. Like he's just kind of like living his life, and he comes across Margot Robbie, who's like caught up in the shit. So that's kind of the like repeat of the first one. And then Mahershala Ali, the dude from he's gonna be playing Blade, I think, and he's just like he's in the Green Book.
Yeah, I think
he's like
he
the
won an
swaggiest fucking actor. Like I think he's the
good.
best out there right now. He is playing like the 2020, aka 2036. He's playing like the transitional character now, where he starts out similar to next, like in the same vein as like Margot Robbie, where he's maskless, gets a mask, becomes in bad with the like Tom Hardy villain crew, but then transitions back to maskless, throws away the mask because he's like the best actor and he's like the main protagonist. So he's like the real Stanley Ipkiss kind of like transitional character. And then Mickey Rourke also, just for cool effect, he would also be a villain who starts off masked and works for Tom Hardy and he's in on the corruption, but then comes back around and removes his mask and like has like a big sacrificial scene where he like saves Shia LaBeouf or Mahershala Ali, who are both kind of fighting for the good side. So what do you think?
God damn, you put a lot. You picked out like every character.
I just did it off a whim, dude. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, it would be so fun to like passionately just like if money never mattered, like what we could do.
Yeah, I've thought of that. I've definitely
Fuck monotony, bro. Write scripts for Jim Carrey every day till the Matrix brings us home.
I definitely think they got to do another Ace Ventura. That's one of my favorite movies.
What do you think, though? What do you think of that? You know all the actors I'm talking. How give me the scale 1 to 10. How'd I do?
I'd say about a 7. A 7.
I'll take it.
I'd have to read it more on paper.
Yeah.
And maybe get more of the basic structure of the beginning, the climax,
yeah,
the resolution.
Yeah. I got the players down.
Or if it would lead into another sequel after that.
Right. Oh, that's a good point. Why not make it a show? Why not make it an ongoing universe? I think that would be fucking cool universe, though, right? Like, because it takes the mask from where it was in the past, and then it's like, it would be speaking. Like, that's why I think Jim Carrey would be so down for it. Because it's like, understanding that the mask is like everything egocentric, like it gives you the power of like your freedom, but that has its consequences. So like that's where everyone would be living, and that's kind of like how our world is right now. Like I feel like everyone's living that life. That's why it'd be like so perfect, I feel like, to make that movie right now.
Well, at the end of the movie, they toss the mask into the river or the water.
He gets rid of it.
His dog and his friend go in there swimming, trying to get it, and then Milo has it.
Yeah.
Because, we're not considering the second movie, because I actually think that movie with Jamie Kennedy takes place after, but...
I'm going to have to do my research, because that sucks.
But no, you can totally...
But this is like the Todd Phillips version.
Yeah, you can totally wipe that movie out.
This is the Todd Phillips dark grime version.
Well, kind of like how they did the Halloween movie, the new one that came out, the Danny McBride.
Oh.
No, the one that Danny McBride wrote, Halloween in 2018. All the Michael Myers movies, they only counted the first movie.
Right.
In that, and then all the other ones that came out after that, they just skipped them. They didn't even count them.
Right.
To have taken place. It's nothing. So I mean, you can rewrite shit. I mean, fuck yeah.
I think that would be such a cool universe where like the mask has been commercialized.
I like that. Yeah,
because that's our world. Everything has been commercialized. Kids, bodies.
It's almost like a drug
parts.
or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a new drug.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like that would be like, and then like the pharmaceutical like. Everything like changed because of the mask and everyone having it, so it's like this next chapter.
Like Westworld, how you can go into this made-up place or whatever to get away from reality. And people just want to do that with the mask.
And they won't take it off. And like all of you could just like go so far with like marrying real real problems into the story that are like facing our world with like racial inequality. Shit. That's what I was getting at, was like the mask is almost like white and non-white, like the same shit. You could take the like approach of like mixing in that hidden meaning of like what's right and what's wrong, and it would be like you could have these little micro scenes where like, it's a little masked boy and a little masked girl, and they're still having fun, and then you like have like adults see them and be like, what are you guys doing together? And it's like the black and not like I say black and white, but in college I learned like it's really white and non-white. Like, if you're white, the privilege, and if you're not white. So, like, that could tie into, like, the mask and non-mask concept.
Shit, dude, I think it would be a good movie just on its own.
Yeah.
If you just change the whole concept of the mask being something else that isn't even related to that movie. It's like you're saying, like a drug, some sort of fucking.
Well, it is like
a mask that they would wear, but not like it could just be its own standalone movie,
like
not related to anything else. I mean, it's got everything.
It's kind of like got that 50s Twilight Zone kind of feel too.
Yeah, I like
sci-fi.
that. I definitely like that.
Like Black Mirror-ish.
I still got.
Have you ever seen?
I still got to watch Black Mirror.
There's a lot of good ones. I watched a really cool doc on the guy who Shepard Fairey.
Okay.
Check that out. That's really cool.
All right, I will.
I can't remember what it's called, but I think it was on Amazon. But yeah, it was all about Shepard Fairey, who is the creator of Obey brand.
Yes.
And
I know
like
Obey.
yeah, it's an awesome arc where like his influence artistically and like societally, like he's a genius.
That's really cool.
Yeah, check that out. And then Jim Carrey's got a new book. I want to check that out. Like I said, I've been trying to do more reading because we didn't have anything to do during Corona, so I got a couple books. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what comes next, but, like, I'm just glad to be back on the air, bro.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to our next episode as well. I'm going to do a little bit more planning out on my side. And I definitely want to cover a lot of shit that has been going on the past few months. And
yeah, we had to get back
on doing
we had
too.
to get caught up. We had to let everyone know what we've been sniffing around, and now it's we're back in the Matrix again.
Well, I feel like now we got a footprint in the whole podcast world.
Right.
And now that we're coming back, kind of like a fresh start. Not that we had 1 million episodes before.
Yeah.
But we did like 6 or 7 episodes. We covered some ground, and not like
we had
not like 20-minute episodes. Like the first one was like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And, the second one was like an hour, then an hour, and then they were all about an hour.
Yeah, and another thing I was thinking, we can start to do some, like, actual, like, us facing the camera, like, breakdowns of stuff. I've seen a lot of those.
Yes.
Like, Andrew Schultz does good ones.
Yeah, we definitely want to up the production quality for ourselves
we could do some
and whoever's
cutaways.
listening.
If you wanted to do a feature on, like, F1, or, F1.
Just have to...
Not F3 or F4, but F1.
I want to look into, like, what we're allowed to use, what we're allowed to show, how long we can show it for.
Just like some, like, Jim Rome. Yeah, you know Jim Rome?
Yeah.
I would love to, like, do some practice and, like, do some recitement of, like, read it and present it for the viewer, like, directly into the camera. I think that'd be cool. Like, if we plan a couple, we could maybe, like, knock down our overall time and just include little, like, 2-minute bits. That'd be kind of sweet.
Yeah, I like that. I think we should do, little ads of us talking to the camera, saying to, tune into our episode, what it's going to be about, little previews or something.
Yeah, like news. Like, basically just, like the
that.
news portion, like, cut in just, like, 2 to 3 minutes of, like, a story and then talk about it.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to do, like, little 10-minute docs or 5-10-minute documentaries.
We could go in and post and be like, whatever, something like we talked about today, and, like, go into, like, a quick 2-minute bit and then cut back to, like, us talking about it. But, yeah, so we're going to be experimenting with a couple of, like, different ideas. Also, thanks to AmVets for providing my clothing. It's so controversial, I had to buy it. It was, like, $1.50, but somebody made this shirt, and it's got Tony Soprano, and it says The Pig Roast. So I don't know if this is, like, some gangster-ass family
I don't know what
that, like, fucking kills cops or something. I hope not, because, like, I think there are good cops out there. But I had to wear it. It says...
Well, he died in 2013, didn't he?
Yeah, true. All the R's are little guns, and I'm, like, not even a gun owner, but I thought it was classic. And it says, there's an old Italian saying, you mess up once, you lose 2 teeth. And, like, I thought that was pretty crazy. And what does it say on the back?
29th Annual Allegheny Pig Roast and Get-Together.
Yeah, so shout out to these people that made these shirts because they made it on the pod and they're supporting the podcast.
Funny is that? That's legit. I like that.
Oh, I'm actually wearing a hat from AmVets also.
What do we got here? What's it say?
D-Lo.
D-Lo.
Chevron, baby.
That's kind of cool.
The makeup of this hat...
That's like an old Ayrton Senna hat.
It's like, this is how they should make hats. So, again, when we have merchandise, this is what our hat's going to look like.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get some
prototype.
merch. we want to get our logo secured.
Thanks to these people for giving me this idea for this shirt today.
And we're definitely going to be working on a website to get a legit website out there too.
Yeah, we'll definitely be, as we keep
Really,
experimenting with some of these ideas, we'll be organizing it better and better. And if you have any feedback, please let us know. Obviously, most of the people that are either checking this out or listening or watching are probably people that we know. We're going to probably do a little bit of promotion here and there. But stay tuned for anything that you heard today.
Check for links in our description as well, too, if you're watching this.
Yeah, we're going to... Matt's done an awesome job of getting these up on YouTube, and he's our lead producer, so he does a lot of that side of things. I try to continue making sure that we're, in a good place planning-wise, so that's why...
Yeah.
It's been good so far, and it feels like we're right back in the saddle, baby.
Yeah, we didn't miss a beat, dude. Got right back into it. But yeah, like I said, we'll have a website coming out, probably not within the next 2 weeks or so. It'll be a little while before we get it. But we just want to establish some more content, get some more episodes out so we can have a whole season.
Yeah.
You guys can sit there and just binge it. But,
And we could bring other people in on it, too. Another thing that I think we'll be doing in the future is, packaging up our stuff so that we can shoot on location.
Yeah,
so,
we
could
want to
do
get
an interview with somebody if they have a business, organization, cause, mission, anything that kind of supports the Reg in the Zoo, but also the Tryin Times. Again, if you want to check that out, TryinTimes.com. Yours is called
EndangeredCaptivity.com.
EndangeredCaptivity.com. So that's kind of our little separate pieces that we feel that whether he can bring in an expert from his and I can maybe look for people that support mine, and we're just going to try and bring it up and use this as a platform to shoot the actual video for.
Yeah, and if you've listened, to the whole episode and you made it this far, there's going to be a link in our description that if you want to start your own podcast, click this link, use Buzzsprout to get it out there, and you should get a discount on it.
Yeah.
Which is really cool if you use the link that we share.
Bonus.
Yeah, it'll be a little referral bonus for you and for us, obviously.
Yeah.
But definitely click that link. Check out Buzzsprout if you want to do it.
Check out bathinmymilk.com. Don't forget.
We'll put the link in the description for you on that.
Yeah, you got to go down the rabbit hole. We're going to be down the rabbit hole.
You're not going to know.
Deep down the
You're not going to
hole.
know what to think when you go to that website.
Yeah.
The fact that somebody just bought that domain name and posted those
check
pictures.
it out. They're our lead sponsor, along with AmVets, the people that made these shirts, Red Thunder.
And if you know anybody in those pictures, please call the police because they've probably been missing for God knows how long.
And if you know Todd Phillips or if you know Jim Carrey, we'd love to do an interview with them. But yeah, stay tuned. We'll be talking to other podcasters too. R.I.P. Chris D'Elia. There's two young guys that Chad goes deep. They're fucking hilarious. We could talk about them on the next one. So yeah, stay tuned. Is there anything else or should we wrap?
No, I think we're good to wrap. Probably just check us out. We'll have this posted whenever it's posted.
Soon as we can.
Probably within a few days here. Maybe not even. Just depends on what we're going to add to it. And for real, if anybody has any feedback, anything, just tell us. Tell us.
We want to give you what you need.
Tell us what you think sucked that we did. Tell us what you
tell
think
us
you
if
liked.
we're rambling because I probably ramble.
Let us know. We're new at this and we're trying. We want to go professional with it.
Yeah.
To expand our careers and our our mindset and everything.
Yeah, really just make a difference.
Our creativity
to make people happy.
Yeah.
Because nobody deserves to be sad and alone.
Exactly. It's not worth it.
Nobody deserves to be sad alone. Bye.
Take care.